Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Tales of Herding God Part 155 based on novel. So let's start. Comprehend in detail. We will have to move 5 Thunder Pot in a few days. Turning around then, Qin Mu asked Cai Yinxiang, where is the emperor now? He just reached Serene Prefecture, which is still over 10 days of journey from here, Cai Yinxiang said. His Majesty's plan is for Cult Master to delay for 10 days. If you can't do that, you need to at least get him 8 days. At that time, he will fire the cannon from 5,000 miles away and kill Bai Shi. Qin Mu shook his head. Bai Shi won't give us 8 days. He will make a decision in 3 to 5 days' time. How's the battle in God-Broken Mountain Range? Cai Yinxiang frowned. That place is already destroyed, and the aftermath of the divine arts can be seen everywhere. Even so, experts of Celestial Being Realm still can't go inside. The Emperor has ordered the soldiers at Eternal Border and Secret Waters to retreat, abandoning Secret Waters Pass to prevent them from being dragged into the fray. As for the outcome of the battle, she shook her head. The Emperor has ordered the generals of the 2 passes to go forward and investigate, but there are still no news. No one has walked out as of now. Qin Mu's heart squeezed, and he let out a shaky breath. His gaze became sharp. In that case, after solving this matter with God Bai Shi, I will go over there personally. I want to see them if they are alive, or their bodies if they are dead. Elder Saigong, I'll give you guys 2 days. Prepare as soon as possible. We won't wait for the Emperor anymore. Elder Saigong and the rest were awed. They immediately went to practice how to cast the spell with 100 people. To make 100 people cooperate seamlessly and execute the same technique, without messing up and activating the power of 5 Thunder Pot in 2 days was very difficult. However, time was running out, so they had no choice but to practice more. Suddenly, the divine arts practitioner guarding the courtyard of Fragrance Well came to report. Cult Master Qin, the god has invited you. Qin Mu's spirit moved slightly, and he rose to head over to the courtyard of Fragrance Well. God Bai Shi's complexion was much better. It was evident that he had refined pills to treat his own injuries, so they were much lighter. His cultivation had also become a lot healthier. However, he had chopped off one of his legs, so it was impossible for him to escape. Because of that, Qin Mu was afraid he would fall into depression and active 5 Thunder Pot, beside which he spent all of his time. Little friend, there have been many guests recently, eh? The horn on God Bai Shi's head glowed and rings of light slid down from the tip of it, flowing through his whole body. Qin Mu examined the light, and his heart moved slightly. It was shaking up the god's corporeal body, forcing the spoiled blood out. It had to be a kind of body refinement technique, which could make the body recover quicker. Before that, God Bai Shi had been beaten up quite miserably, so he didn't even have the possibility to escape for his life. But now that some of his cultivation had started to recover, he was trying to recover the strength of his corporeal body as well. Those that came are all just small figures, and can't threaten a god like you. Is that true? Qin Mu said with a smile. I can see that your abilities are recovering quite fast, and it makes me worried. I'm afraid that you will go back on your promise. I've already waited for some 7 days, and I don't think there's a point to wait for much more. It'd be best if we signed the Pact of Earth Count, and there's no better time than now. So why don't we do it today? What promise? Did I have a promise with you? Ha ha ha. God Bai Shi laughed, and his voice was like thunder, ringing throughout the entire city. I'm joking. Look at your pale face, it's completely white. Since you have already waited for some 7 days, why don't you wait some more? Didn't you say you wanted to attach a divine leg for me? I haven't connected it yet, So when I have both legs again, we shall sign the Pact of Earth Count. Qin Mu's face changed slightly, and he said coldly, your abilities have already recovered so much. So if I attach your leg and you activate 5 Thunderpot and run, won't I have to bear the sin of having allowed you to wipe out countless people in eternal peace? Your leg can wait. Let's do it after we sign the Pact of Earth Count. God Baishi placed his palm on 5 Thunderpot and beamed at him. You are called Qin Mu, right? I asked the divine arts practitioners around here, Heavenly Devil Cult Master Qin Mu. But you are also human emperor, someone truly powerful to have broken one of my legs. Shu Xinghua went to find you, but he never returned, so you should have gotten rid of him. This is no wonder though, how could he fight against you? Come over, attach my leg, and we can talk then. Otherwise, I will activate this 5 Thunderpot immediately. Qin Mu's face changed drastically, and he shouted, Divine Flood Dragon King. Watery light pulsed behind him, and the Divine Flood Dragon King appeared with a bow. Divine Flood Dragon King is right here. What do you command, Your Majesty? God Baishi sneered. Don't fool around, Cult Master Qin. My hand is still on 5 Thunderpot. The corners of Qin Mu's eyes crinkled, then like spring wind and rain, the stern expression on his face vanished and he laughed loudly. Senior brother Baishi is indeed powerful, I'll help you attach your leg back. Divine Flood Dragon King, there's no need to be nervous. Come man, bring up the medicine I refined. Senior brother Baishi, where's the leg you have chosen? Take it out. God Baishi threw the shorter leg over and said with a smile, the length of this leg is not suitable. Take out the other 2 legs, and I'll choose again. The smile of Qin Mu's face froze, frowning a little. God Baishi stood on one leg with a smile on his face as he said leisurely, does Cult Master Qin have any opinion? Qin Mu took in a long, deep breath, then took out the other 2 divine legs while gritting his teeth tightly. No, I don't. Senior brother Baishi, please choose. God Baishi took a look at him and laughed when he saw that Qin Mu's face was black. Young man still can't remain calm. His magic power poured out, and he swept up the 2 divine legs. He examined them in detail, but didn't discover Qin Mu doing anything to them. I'll choose this one. Divine Physician Qin, help me attach it. May senior brother lie down, Qin Mu said with barely held back anger. God Baishi lay down with his palm still on 5 Thunderpot. He said leisurely, don't try to play any tricks. If my hand just makes a slight move, 5 Thunderpot will explode, and it'll be even easier for the thunderclouds to destroy the world. The treasure of North Deity could turn even founding emperor's empire into great ruins. So what chance does eternal peace stand, he. God Baishi kept staring at Qin Mu who cautious and conscientious, attaching the other's leg seriously without any complaint. He sutured the root of the leg with the leg chosen by the god. Senior brother Baishi is not a human, right? Qin Mu examined the nerves and activated the nerve system of the broken section, nursing it with medicine. I see the structure of your body is different that of humans. What is your race? Light poured out from the heart of God Baishi's brows and a primordial spirit soared out. It was a dragon horse, which had wings on its back and a long horn on its head. Its mane fluttered in the wind as its body shone from its snow-white color. The dragon horse was lively and full of enthusiasm, truly having the vitality attributed to its name-bearers. Qin Mu raised his head to take a look before praising, you are a divine steed. This kind of primordial spirit is rare. Using the term divine steed to describe me is also according to the times. God Baishi's primordial spirit stared at his actions. However, I rarely show my true form. During founding Emperor. Cough, cough. In the past, of course, before you were born, divine steeds like me could only deliver letters to people and be their mounts. It was truly a waste of our talents. Qin Mu's expression changed slightly and he asked, in that case, how did senior brother Bai Shi go to high heavens? The god sighed. The heaven changed, the earth changed, even lowly gods like my kind received our day to shine. Not long after the calamity, I surrendered. After that, great ruins appeared. Back then, many of those who had surrendered with me shone brighter, and were all better at currying favor than me. So they left this world to enjoy their lives, leaving only a few of us behind. Those fellows were all good at bootlicking, but I was not. It was fine anyway though, better be a chicken's beak than a cow's rump. He smiled. Even though those fellows knew how to bootlick, the moment they reached the upper realm, they became the lowest of the low there. Because of that, they are worse off than us who stay at the lower realm, riding roughshod over people and staying high up at the top, enjoying people's worship and sacrifices. Yet, you are still no more than a runner until now, Qin Mu said with a smile. God Bai Shi was furious and his god's aura burst forth. What did you say? Qin Mu smiled. Don't get agitated and make me connect the wrong nerve, or you'll be limping even after I attach your leg back. God Bai Shi sighed. You are right. I'm indeed a runner. I had run to deliver letters in the past, and I'm now running to bring disaster to this land. All the dirty works are thrown at me, and I'm even dirtier than I was in the past. But it can't be helped. If I don't do what they ask, it will be hard for me to escape death. How strong are the four sovereigns of high heavens? Their abilities are greater than mine, but they can still only be runners. Not only that, we also have to risk our lives. Who can say how many of us will make it through this? His eyes narrowed from worry. Up till then, the other meteorological weapons had not been activated. It meant that Star Sovereign Xiao and the rest were most likely dead. If you were to surrender to me, I could make you a mountain god and you enjoy your sacrifices. Why don't you be a mountain god beside surging river, so you can accompany dragon rearing sovereign? All the people who hang themselves on the mountain and jump off the cliffs would be your food. I have a good place. There's a mountain beside Deer County called 100 Years Mountain. Its scenery is beautiful and the mountain is over 300,000 feet tall. If you became a mountain god there, it wouldn't be an insult to you. Bah! God Bai Shi smiled at him. I'm not a shameless person like dragon rearing sovereign. I've already surrendered once, so how can I surrender again? Do I still want my face? What's more, I'm a vegetarian, I don't eat humans. I had wanted to be a mountain god in the past, but it was a pity I was too fast, so I had to deliver letters as a runner. If I had run slightly slower, I might have just landed myself an official position. Qin Mu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is your abilities being detrimental to you. God Bai Shi smiled. You are quite a good person and also kind. I admire you very much. After you attach my leg, we can sit down for a talk. Even if Eternal Peace Empire is wiped out, you can follow me to high heavens. I can't promise anything, but I can at least protect you and your whole family. Qin Mu gave his thanks. It's good to leave a way out for myself too. I've long wanted to go to high heavens, but I don't have divine incense, so I can't contact them. This is easy, I have some. God Bai Shi's gaze flickered as he said, as long as you treat my injuries and let me successfully call on this disaster, I'll bring you to high heavens. Qin Mu scattered some powder on the broken section of the leg and saw nerves growing rapidly, waving their tentacles like earthworms. I had planned to sign the Pact of Earth Count with you to prevent you from bringing the disaster, yet you advise me to surrender. Senior brother, after your leg is attached, let us sign the Pact of Earth Count immediately. You can't go back on your word this time. God Bai Shi looked at his hand techniques, and saw his fingers moving up and down quickly. The speed of his fingers was too much for the eyes to take in, yet they moved exquisitely, as though he was threading a needle and also manipulating the needle for the art of healing. You've learned sewing before. Your hands move like those of a tailor, the god said in bewilderment. Somewhat. Qin Mu's vital qi transformed into thread and connected the nerves. I have learned it for a few years. God Baishi was curious. What else have you learned? Qin Mu's fingers moved faster and faster as he spoke. Formation skills, fist skills, pupil skills, knife skills, body techniques, forging, painting and calligraphy, carpentry, poems and songs. I know a little about all of them. The nerves in God Baishi's broken leg connected with the divine leg, and he could instantly feel it, which filled him with delighted surprise. He took a glance at Qin Mu and thought to himself, this brat's abilities ain't bad and his heart isn't bad as well. I really don't want to kill him just like this. What a pity. Qin Mu went to connect his blood vessels and used the dragon Chilean's dragon saliva to grow the flesh and blood. The bone marrow has still not fused. This part is the most difficult. Senior brother, bone marrow is used for creating blood and its impact is extremely large. I need to first cultivate it with medicine, then nourish it so it would be able to produce blood. Now, after your bone marrow starts working, you and I shall sign the Pact of Earth Count. You won't call upon the disaster, and I will let you return to high heavens. God Baishi examined all the herbs, ensuring the youth didn't play any tricks, then smiled. Not a problem. Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief and ordered people to bring in a huge pot. After soaking the herbs in the water, he had people to light a fire and said, in about 2 days, the bone marrow will be able to start producing blood again. Move the huge pot closer, my hand can't leave 5 thunder pot, God Baishi immediately said. Qin Mu smiled at him. Senior brother Baishi sure does things seamlessly. Are you still scared? I will do anything. The pot is right here, and you know I can't move it. If your hand is always on 5 thunder pot, I'm scared you may accidentally activate it. God Baishi looked at him and their gazes locked onto each other. Qin Mu didn't back down. God Baishi felt refreshed and full of vigor. He laughed loudly and said, fine, as you wish. Qin Mu sat down nearby and waited quietly. The divine flood dragon king guarded him by the side. God Baishi's primordial spirit guarded the sky, prepared to activate 5 thunder pot anytime, while he soaked in the pot, slowly feeling the medicinal energy seeping into his wounded leg, nourishing his flesh. The medicinal energy gradually reached his bones, bringing life to his bone marrow. Comfortable. God Baishi was utterly bored, so he asked for fun, is Cult Master Qin married? I'm married. Qin Mu fetched a sundial and observed the time. The sundial had many marked scales and was very detailed. I married twice. What a pity. I planned to introduce a few beauties of my race when you came to high heavens. God Baishi chuckled. Your kids would have been half human and half horse. Just thinking about it makes me want to laugh. Ha 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 ha. Qin Mu didn't reply to him and continued to look at the sundial. God Baishi seemed to be in a good mood and kept talking nonsense, laughing from time to time. He seemed to be very pleased with himself. Without his notice, a day and a half passed while God Baishi's laughter grew louder and louder. His gaze towards Qin Mu was also becoming more and more unpleasant. Cult Master Qin, let me tell you a joke. In the past, there was a person who decided to cook a duck. When it was cooked and he was about to eat it, the duck flew away. Ha 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 ha, why aren't you laughing? Let me tell you another joke. That cooked duck flew back later on and ate that idiot. Ha 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 ha. Qin Mu remained motionless and continued to stare at the sundial. God Baishi looked at him fiercely and sneered, you don't laugh and you don't talk. are you discriminating against me? You are discriminating against me. I'm going to kill you. Qin Mu raised his head and smiled. Time's out, action. As he said that, there was a sudden tremor as 5 demons with green faces and tusks appeared around Fragrance Well. They whirled around 5 Thunder Pot, and it vanished into thin air. God Bai Shi's primordial spirit stretched out to grab it, but he grabbed nothing. He only managed to grab one of the demons while roaring in anger. Thunder rumbled and the entire purple, chased city shook violently. Behind Qin Mu, the divine flood dragon king roared and revealed his true form, coiling around the courtyard of Fragrance Well. He stared at the primordial spirit of his enemy. God Bai Shi crushed the huge demon, and immediately summoned his primordial spirit back. The moment it entered his body, he instantly felt evil qi pouring out from his wounded leg, invading all parts of his body, wandering between his primordial spirit and divine treasures. His blood couldn't help running cold as he hurried to execute his magic power to suppress it. Crap! After all that guarding, I still didn't manage to protect myself. The divine flood dragon king took the chance to pounce on him, and his body locked God Bai Shi tightly, making him unable to move. The grip was so tight that veins were bursting out on his forehead. Qin Mu stood up and pulled out carefree sword to throw it on the ground. Smiling, he said, "Senior brother Bai Shi, the ducks I cook can never fly away. Take the sword, you can cut off the poisoned parts yourself. Divine Flood Dragon King, let him go. When I cook ducks, I like them to cut themselves in pieces without my help. Now that you've been poisoned by me, Senior brother Bai Shi, you can only sever yourself from the neck down. Nothing below it can be kept." The divine flood dragon king hesitated for a moment, but still let go. God Bai Shi roared loudly and his god's aura rolled out in waves, exploding the pot of medicinal liquid. He walked toward Qin Mu with his murderous intent overflowing into the sky. The divine flood dragon king was extremely nervous. He was about to make a move when God Bai Shi suddenly dispersed his god's aura, and knelt down on one knee with a sigh. "I've already surrendered once in the past, so what if I surrender again? I'm willing to submit." Qin Mu smiled at him. "Don't worry, the scenery at 100 Years Mountain is very nice, and you are very suitable to stay there. Make an oath to Earth count. Once you do it, I'll let you be the mountain god of 100 Years Mountain, and you'll be able to enjoy your sacrifices." After half a day, God Bai Shi's face was very dark. He had ridden the wind and clouds to hurry to Deer County, which was beside surging river, with a frown. All around Deer County were barren hills of 3,000 feet, and wild rivers. Where was the 300,000 feet mountain with beautiful scenery? God Bai Shi descended to the ground and asked a farmer, "Where's 100 Years Mountain?" "That's the one." God Bai Shi followed the direction of his finger, and saw that 100 Years Mountain was actually a small hill which was saturated with the atmosphere of death. At the sight of it, he couldn't help shouting angrily, "That place is clearly a burial mound, a place to bury corpses. Why is it called 100 Years Mountain?" The farmer smiled at him. "What happens to an ordinary person after 100 years? Of course, it's death. Therefore it's named 100 Years Mountain. Everyone is buried there after reached 100 years. God Bai Shi was stunned, not understanding. Isn't 100 Years Mountain supposed to be 300,000 feet high? You fool with the horn. The farmer couldn't resist himself as he scolded him. When a dead person lies down, they are merely a few inches high. So to a dead person, isn't 100 Years Mountain 300,000 feet high? God Bai Shi was furious and flew to 100 Years Mountain angrily. "Damn you, Qin brat." Suddenly, surging river split apart and a huge head popped out from the center of the river, sizing him up curiously while laughing. "I was thinking who had such an aura of a god, and I see it's Tao friend Bai Shi. Why are you here as well? You were just cursing Qin brat. So what happened? So it's dragon rearing sovereign. God Baishi hurriedly greeted him while standing on the mountain peak. I came to bring disaster to eternal peace, but I met Heavenly Devil Cult Master. There's no need for you to explain anymore, I get it. The huge dragon in the center of the river shook his body, and changed into the human-shaped dragon rearing sovereign. He said with a solemn face, he has a very honest face and looks easy to bully, right? How did you know? God Baishi asked him with a strange look. Dragon rearing sovereign stamped his feet. Because of his honest-looking face, I became surging river dragon king. One god stood on the river and the other stood on 100 Years Mountain, looking speechlessly at each other in dismay. The river breeze whistled and the mountain wind howled. In early spring, both of them were bone-chilling. After a moment, dragon rearing sovereign gradually sunk into the water as he said, tidy your 100 Years Mountain first, then build a mountain god temple. I will hold a banquet later to welcome you. Your mountain is too quiet, people will only go there during Pure Brightness Festival, or Ghost Festival. The incense is very little. If you can't survive on it, I'll share some with you. God Baishi felt desolate. Dragon rearing sovereign ate meat, so what he would share with him would also be people who had committed suicide in the river. Yet he was a vegetarian who had no fruit or trees on his mountain. There were quite a number of corpses though. I think I should first construct a temple. Once it is done, there might be believers who will bring me some fruits when they come to offer incense. As long as they are not spoiled, I can eat them. In Purple Chased City, Qin Mu looked at the 15 yards tall 5 thunder pot in front of him and his head started to ache slightly. Such a huge bottle gourd contained energy to wipe out the world. If the 5 great thunderclouds were accidentally released, it would be a huge disaster which would wipe the world. Cult Master, what about this 5 thunder pot? Should we hide it? Everyone in Heavenly Devil Cult surrounded this bottle gourd and examined it, their hearts filled with terror. Qin Mu shook his head. This bottle gourd isn't safe anywhere. Any carelessness, and the power inside will be activated. The heavenly lightning will strike, killing I don't know how many people. He circled around the bottle gourd, finding it a thorny problem. The worst part was that Eternal Peace Empire didn't simply have a 5 thunder pot. There were over a dozen more meteorological weapons like it which could destroy Eternal Peace Empire 10 times over. Qin Mu suddenly flicked a finger against 5 thunder pot, and everyone felt their hair stand on ends. In an instant, heavenly thunderclouds gathered over an area of dozens of yards, and 5 directions divine lightning struck down. After the wave of lightning, everyone was charred on the outside and their faces were black like charcoal. The courtyard in which they had been standing was destroyed by lightning in its entirety. In an instant, 1,000 bolts of lightning had struck down and the buildings collapsed, and even the land had melted. Qin Mu spewed out a mouthful of black smoke while pondering over it. This thing is not bad for tempering the corporeal body. Borrowing the power of the 5 great thunderclouds to cultivate can allow one to quickly cultivate the corporeal body. Let us carry it back home, back to the sacred cult. Cult Master. Everyone's expressions changed drastically, and Elder Saigong nearly cried out. If we carried it back to the sacred cult, it would be finished if the gourd accidentally exploded. Qin Mu was troubled. If this treasure can't be used by the sacred cult, won't it be wasted? Not at all, not at all. Elder Saigong immediately said. Qin Mu frowned and sighed ruefully. This thing has many uses yet you guys don't know how good it is. Oh well, I'll just keep it. You guys can transfer it into my true dragon's nest. I have a use for it. Everyone looked at one another in dismay. 5 thunder pot was clearly an extremely dangerous thing, so how was it useful? It was clearly a ticking time bomb that could take one's life anytime. If he put it in the dragon's nest, lightning would be unable to discharge in such a huge space. So if the power of 5 thunder pot burst forth, even gods would be struck to death by the 5 great thunderclouds. Other than using 5 thunder pot to refine the body, it can also be used to wipe out a sect. If I meet anyone I can't defeat, I can just give it a slap and drag them down with me. Qin Mu thought to himself. Everyone worked together to execute 5 demons transfer technique, sending 5 thunder pot into the true dragon's nest. As they did, not one of them considered that their cult master might have such a dangerous idea. Qin Mu thanked everyone and summoned the divine flood dragon king and the dragon Qin. They were about to hurry to God-broken mountain range to check on the situation, when Cai Yunxiang said, "Cult master, the emperor is currently on his way here, and will reach Purple Chased City in 7 days. Aren't you going to wait for him?" Qin Mu stared at her with his eyes wide open. He cried out, "You didn't tell him not to come." Cai Yunxiang shook her head. "You only said there's no need to wait for him, and didn't say to tell him to turn back. The emperor is driving sunshot divine cannon over, and the exhaustion of medicinal stones is staggering as they hurry over with desperation." Qin Mu's scalp crawled, and he could almost see Emperor Yang Feng sharpening his knife in preparation to chop off his head. "Quickly inform him that he doesn't have to come anymore." Qin Mu turned and jumped on the back of the divine flood dragon king. "The emperor won't execute you, but he will definitely dare to execute me." Cai Yunxiang immediately complained. "Don't you know how to praise a bad thing?" Qin Mu rode the dragon into the distance, and his voice came from afar. "Change the way to break the news to him, and he will even reward you." Praise a bad thing. Cai Yunxiang was first stunned, then came to a realization. She immediately asked Elder Saigong to bring her to find Emperor Yang Feng, who was on the cannon battery, with the civil and military officials following him. They were surrounded by imperial guards that had an awe-inspiring presence. The 56 furnaces on the huge cannon burned non-stop, using up countless medicinal stones. They were still hurrying to Purple Chased City. When Cai Yunxiang reached them, Emperor Yang Feng was ordering his people to fetch the medicinal stones from the city in front of them. The medicinal stones on the cannon battery had long run out, so he could only replenish them from the cities on the way. "Congratulations, Your Majesty." Cai Yunxiang came forth to report. "God by Shi of high heavens remembered Your Majesty's broad and powerful might, so he didn't dare to create a ruckus and submitted. Now, he will belong to eternal peace and be the mountain god of Deer County's 100 Years Mountain. He will guard Your Majesty's empire, so it would last through the ages." Emperor Yang Feng was pleased when he looked around at the civil and military officials on his left and right while laughing loudly. That rebellious god by Shi actually knew when to fall back. "He knew that I'm coming personally, and he wouldn't be a match for me, so he might as well surrender. This is truly making me punch the air. How would he dare to offend Your Majesty's heavenly might? He could only surrender, or else he would die a miserable death." Lord Yang immediately said. All the ministers congratulated Emperor Yang Feng, and he smiled from ear to ear. "All of you have followed me, so you gain the credit as well. Everyone will be rewarded." All the ministers were delighted. After the commotion, Sunshot Divine Cannon stopped for a moment as they prepared to return to the capital. Emperor Yang Feng summoned Cai Yunxiang then, his face instantly sinking. He sneered at her, "Little saintess of Cai family, your cult master told you to say that. Why doesn't he dare to come to meet me?" Cult master used human emperor's seal to summon the heroes from all parts of the country to defend against the invasion of high heavens, holding them outside God-broken mountain range, preventing the enemies from invading, protecting the safety of eternal peace. All right, no need to talk officiously." Emperor Yang Feng sighed. I know he put in much effort, and has high achievements. It's also because of him this time, that Eternal Peace wasn't wiped out and all of its people killed. I don't have any intention to blame him. Furthermore, he also saved my face by letting you come here. How did he subdue by she of high heavens? By making threats and promises, showing the enemy his weak, using hundreds of different methods. Sai Yinxiang told him how Qin Mu had subdued God by she, and Emperor Yangfeng was stunned. Minister Qin helped Eternal Peace subdue 2 gods at such a young age, forcing them to guard mountains and rivers. With these kinds of things, even I am inferior. I was worried about the battle at God-Broken Mountain Range, so I had ordered people to head to investigate, and there is already news. Sai Yinxiang's heart tightened when Emperor Yangfeng said, General of the Borders said that there are continuous earthquakes along some 20,000 miles of God-Broken Mountain Range. All the mountains had sunk, and the earthquakes have raised fog and darkness, which is invading the God-Broken Mountains. Ghost gods can be seen in the fog, but no traces of Imperial Preceptor, and the rest could be found. I want to go over to see it personally, but the politics can't be messed up. The Empire also can't be messed up. General of the Borders said that the place has signs of becoming part of great ruins. They are currently invading Eternal Peace. A private worry took root in Sai Yinxiang, and she looked toward the west. Cult Master is currently heading there. What exactly is happening there for great ruins to start expanding? Qin Mu rode the dragon until it was evening and they finally came to the surroundings of God-Broken Mountain Range. He raised his head to look at it, and his heart suddenly jumped. He could only see grey fog covering the place in layer after layer. When the sun set in the west, it was soon drowned out. Something is wrong. God-Broken Mountain Range was very long, and the width of the mountains was also very great. The mountain range separated great ruins and Eternal Peace, taking up 100 miles. Now it had sunk down, what replaced it was thick grey fog. Dull tremors came from it from time to time. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor activated Earthquake Cauldron and broke this piece of mountain range, sinking the mountains down into the ground. Qin Mu could sense the tremors from the grey fog, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Since Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had used Earthquake Cauldron, it showed that he'd felt powerless to defend himself. He then didn't hesitate to take all of them down with him just to block them from crossing over God-Broken Mountains. When the sun set, darkness invaded from the west, and it was like a black flood had covered the sky, swallowing everything on the way. Every place it passed by vanished without a trace. The darkness seemed to have substance and actually came to God-Broken Mountain Range, drowning it. The darkness flooded to the front of Qin Mu's face before suddenly stopping. Qin Mu raised his head and saw that the darkness was like a straight cliff whose top couldn't be seen. It separated the night of Eternal Peace from that of his home. Great ruins has swallowed God-Broken Mountain Range and spread toward Eternal Peace Empire. The darkness just swallowed up 100 miles. Qin Mu bent over and took out a flag to stab it where the darkness of great ruins touched the night of Eternal Peace. He said in a low voice, "In a few more days, we will know if the darkness is truly spreading or it has stopped. If the darkness of great ruins is expanding, it would probably be a catastrophic disaster to Eternal Peace Empire. Divine Flood Dragon King, let's go in." Divine Flood Dragon King acknowledged and transformed into the youth. Divine light shone around his body, and he brought Qin Mu and the Dragon Qilin into the ruins of God-Broken Mountain Range. "Flood dragons, come on to me." Qin Mu gave a low shout and executed secrets of dragon control. The flood dragons flew toward him and coiled around his body. 2 of them hung themselves from his ears like earrings. Instantly, the magic power of the flood dragons fused with his, causing Qin Mu's abilities to soar frantically. 9 heavens, awaken. Formation markings swirled in Qin Mu's eyes, and he opened his 9 heavens eyes. Divine lights shot out from his eyes and through the darkness. Wherever his gaze passed, it was like a light hole had pierced the darkness and the grey fog. The divine flood dragon king didn't have such an ability, and was pretty envious. Qin Mu let him follow close to him, as they slowly went deeper into the ruins of God-broken mountains. Suddenly, Qin Mu stopped, and the divine flood dragon king also did so. What they saw in front of them were pieces of a tattered painting floating past silently. It was Death's painting, but the things within it had already shattered. Something seemed to have jumped out of it, tearing it apart. However, there was still a remnant of terrifying power within it. If they accidentally touched it, they would face great danger. Qin Mu avoided the painting and started walking again. He then suddenly stopped once more, for he saw hundreds of tattered paintings of all sizes floating silently in the grey fog. There were also chunks of large mountain rocks mixed among them. Qin Mu frowned. They should be in Death's battlefield, since he was skilled in painting. His world in painting had thousands of different sights that were grand and magnificent. Even experts like Shingen would be sealed if they weren't careful, and find it difficult to break free. For Death to have so many tattered paintings at this place, one could imagine how fierce the battle had been. Your Majesty, be careful. The divine flood dragon hurriedly jumped in front of Qin Mu, defending him. Don't touch these rocks. They contain a god's aura, and has their divine arts left inside. Qin Mu hurriedly pulled away, but then he saw a huge body slowly moving in the darkness and grey fog. It was walking over to them. They saw that the body was indomitable when it got closer to them. They could only see an incomparably thick leg obstructing their vision, but no upper body. Qin Mu raised his head and shone the divine light from his eyes upwards to gradually see a wide chest high above them. Looking upwards some more, he saw an imposing face of a god. A stone statue. Qin Mu's scalp crawled. A stone statue was walking in the darkness and the grey fog. The divine flood dragon king also felt his blood running cold. In front of them was an incomparably tall and sturdy stone statue, whose size was beyond their imagination. Not only that, that stone statue was even walking in the darkness. Maha! The flood dragons on Qin Mu's body were frightened and pulled back their heads. Don't cry. The dragon Chilin's face was ashen as he spoke softly. If you wake him up, he will ride you to kill people. I was ridden the whole night. Suddenly, the stone statue bent down as if having heard something. A huge face pushed through the darkness and appeared in front of Qin Mu and the rest. Hu Linga rolled her eyes and collapsed on the floor as though she had fainted. Her legs were held upwards stiffly while her tail was straight. When the flood dragons and the dragon Qilin saw the situation, they immediately learned from her example and lay down on the ground to play dead. Young master, Hu Linga squinted her eyes and poked Qin Mu. Qin Mu hesitated for a moment before collapsing on his back and sticking out his tongue. His body was stiff, his face black, making it look like he had died very miserably. This video will end here.